What's going on?
What is going on, Cyrus? How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. You got it wrong though. I didn't do dating coaching. You're gonna have people blowing me up like, hey, so can you give me dating advice? Like, look, I'm in the same boat as y'all. I'm sorry.
Wait, rewind. Wait, what kind of coaching do you do?
So I do life. So I consider myself a life and mindset coaching. I mainly focus on women who are coming out of like toxic relationships, helping them to kind of
Yeah.
like understand, the dynamics and, be able to set boundaries and everything so they don't get into that space again.
Yeah, you know what? I guess that does make sense because obviously I got it conflated because I would always see your content and I would always see you giving advice on how to heal or advice on how to not go back to certain things. And I guess my mind just assumed that there was other content of yours that I wasn't seeing that was like more so dating, more so focused on like the dating sphere. You know what? I actually do respect that a lot because it is a pretty easy thing for someone to make all of their content focus on relationships. And as I'm sure you know, that's like a very, very popular realm to go into. So I definitely respect you kind of sticking to your main thing and the thing that you're passionate about and that you feel most gifted to do. So I think that's super dope.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it. Yeah, I thought you were going to get back in the game for a second.
Oh, from that post I put up?
Yeah, I was like, oh, sorry, about to get back in the game.
No. I halfway regret even putting that post up. I was like, man, but it is what it is. It is what it is. So, yeah, I've had a couple people asking me to come on their podcasts that are relationship based recently, and I'm telling them I'm like, if I come on there, if I'm talking about relationships, I'm gonna talk about how technology and software and AI is about to affect relationships. I'm like, I'm not just about to be talking about relationship stuff.
Right.
So.
Right. Exactly. But yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and kind of share my my story, my background or whatnot.
Yes.
So yeah.
So what was your background before? So I guess if you could just share your background before whatever it was that led to you being like, hey, I probably should look into this tech industry stuff. So for those, obviously we're just talking through it, but yeah, if you could please let everybody know who you are and your background before getting in the industry.
Yeah. So before getting into the industry, I actually had a background more so doing administrative work, but I also had a strong entrepreneurship background. A lot of people don't know that I used to own a trucking business when I was married, and so it was actually something me and my ex-husband owned, and due to the divorce, that dissolved, and then I went into just doing regular work. But I had always had a thing for tech. It had been something that I had been wanting to try to get into actually since I was in high school. I remember having this lady that came to our school, and we started having these classes where it was like you can do culinary arts, you can do construction, and one of the classes was an IT class. And this white lady from Wall Street was teaching the class, and she was saying how much money you can make in tech. Even back then, this was like back in 2011. She's like, yeah, you can get like 6 figures in tech. And I'm like, man, I would like to get 6 figures in tech. And so I'm like, how do I get in here? So, I was trying to actually get my IT certs way back then. But the lady quit because I'm from Detroit and Detroit kids are bad.
Oh, the students stressed her out?
Yeah, they stressed her out.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, well, what do I do now? And so, me not really knowing about the space, I kind of just left it alone because I didn't have anybody to say, oh, you can just do this or you can just do that, right? And so
she was kind of like the person you would have went to, but so when she quit, it was like you just found out, like you just showed up one day and she wasn't there anymore.
Yeah, basically, we had a substitute. I don't even know if we had a substitute, but we just came to class one day. She was gone, and it was like, okay, yeah. I guess she was like, listen, I'm going back to Wall Street, get my. I don't got time for this.
Yeah, for real. So no time for the ghetto kids.
Right. Yeah. So after that, I just kind of was just, after high school, I didn't want to go to college because it was just expensive. I'm like, I don't want to get into debt trying to get a degree and I don't even know if it's something I want to do. And I'm, you know what I mean? So I just kind of was working for a few years, and I enrolled into the military. My goal in the military actually was to get into a tech job in the military. But recruiters lie. And so I got into like a tech job, but it wasn't like the tech job that I wanted in the military.
Wait, so you ended up getting in the, I didn't know you served. You served in the military?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. I was in the Army for 3.5 years.
Okay.
So yeah. Did some.
Wow. And what time frame was that? I served in the Marine Corps too. I'm trying to see if we served around the same time.
Man, that was like back in 2014, from 2014 till 2017.
Okay. I literally got out in 2014. So literally you got in the same year I got out. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got in, and then you know, I didn't really want to stay in because after you get in the military, I thought that maybe it'd be something I would do long term, but when I got in there, I was like, nah, they got too much control over my life.
Yes, like they really do. A lot of people don't realize that, where it's like you don't really have much of a life anymore outside of what they allow you to do. Even as a grown adult, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's like certain places you can't go, and I'm just like, listen. And then, you know, I had just got married too, so it was really messed up because I had to deploy right after I got married.
Was he in the military as well?
Yeah, we were both in the military. And so I was like, well, this sucks. So anyways, that was one of the reasons why I was like, I don't really want to do this anymore. Then once I got out, that's when I started my trucking business. Mm-hmm. And did that for a little while. Then when you know, that was done, I was like, okay, what's next? You know, I was kind of just in a job market, trying different jobs. But I was just like, a lot of jobs are just really low paying, and there's no way I'm going to be able to, you know, make ends meet with, you know, doing these jobs. They only want to pay you $15 an hour, $16 an hour, $20 an hour. Nobody can really survive off that. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to try to get back in tech again. And so probably around 2000 and probably late 2019, I started looking to get into tech again, but I just didn't know which route I wanted to take. So I tried different things. I tried like, you know, UX design. I tried learning how to code. I tried learning how to build apps.
Do you know how to code a little bit?
Yeah, I did learn. I got pretty good with like CSS, HTML, even a little bit of Java. But there's a huge learning curve when you're learning how to code. And the issue was I was trying to do it like just self-paced on my own.
Oh,
and my brain.
Yeah, that takes a level of, and I'm not saying you're not disciplined. I'm sure you're more disciplined than I am, but that takes like a next level discipline and patience.
It does. And my brain just wasn't built for it. So, you know, it's not hard to learn. So for anybody, because I know a lot of people want to get into the non-tech spaces, but I would say one of the things I do regret is not getting the support needed to learn that stuff, because I think it's just very valuable. Like if you know how to code really good, like you're golden, like you're good.
Yeah, it really is. Even though I talk a lot about how I don't code, or you don't have to code to be in tech, but I love that you mentioned that, because it is important for people on here to for people to hear that, like just how incredibly valuable of a skill that is, especially if you're doing something else in tech, but then you also have that technical side as well. Like if you're able to do like two different things, it makes you really dangerous.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, you know, I was kind of like failing at all those things. Cause I'm like, you know, I'm trying to do the self-paced stuff, but it just ain't working out. And so I was just kind of for a while, like kind of stuck, like, okay, I know I want to get into tech, but I just don't know which route to take. And then I first heard about tech like a few years ago, and I tried to get into it, a few years ago. I was hanging out with, I wouldn't even stay with a friend, but like more like an associate of mine. And she would just be always going to like the day parties, right? Like she would like hit me up like, hey, I'm going to a day party today. And it's like Tuesday afternoon. And I'm like,
these are like regular day parties or like tech day parties?
No, just regular day parties. Okay. And so I like asked her one day, I'm like, what do you do? Because everybody else is at work and you're just out here just living your best
just living it up.
Yeah, I'm like what's good? Like what's really going on? Like I need to know because we have for drug killer. Or do
I know it's like, especially when it's a friend of yours. It's like, what you really got going on?
Like what's really going on? And so literally, I asked her that, and she's like, oh, my dad works in tech sales, so you know. That's exactly what she said.
Oh, my dad like, works in tech sales.
So she was like, yeah, you know, like I was like, okay, so he must make a lot of money, you know, to work to, you know, finance your life, because she traveled a lot. And so literally, as soon as I got home, I'm like, I'm about to look up tech sales. What is this? And
that's crazy. You knew about it. You knew about tech sales way before I knew about it, because I don't think I learned about it until 2023. I didn't learn about it until maybe 2021. Yeah, the beginning of 2021, when I was trying to make my decision on what to do. And so the fact that you knew about it back in 2018, and you knew like that's where the money resides, like straight up, that's actually, you knew about it before a lot of people.
Yeah, so I tried to get into it, but the issue was I think the two main boot camps were pre-hired and SV Academy, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that, but I think those were the two main ones at the time, and they wanted you to have a degree. So it's not like now where you don't need a degree. Back then, that you have to have a degree, and so I was like, dang, like I don't have a degree right now.
Did that ever? Because I know before getting into tech, there was a period in time in my life where I deeply regretted not having a degree. Like I look back at my life and I was like, man, I wish I had gone to college or something. Like, did that ever hit you at any point, or were you just like, whatever, I don't want to get a degree?
Honestly, I really still didn't care. I was just like, I'm gonna figure out something.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to get a degree just to have a degree. If I'm gonna get a degree, it needs to be, because that's a lot of time and energy you're pouring into that. So
and money.
I'm like either I'm gonna figure out this business thing or something. Like something's gonna pop, you know. So I wasn't too much worried about it. So yeah, but you know, if I could do it all over, if I can go back to high school, I probably would go for like computer science, because I know that degree would be well paid off. But I would be in no debt right now. But honestly, I never really had like any deep regrets with that. But yeah, so that was the deal back then. You know, boot camps back then wanted you to have a degree, and so like I was trying to like get into them. I was like, nope, you need to have a 4-year degree if you want to, you know, get placed in a tech sales job. And so I was like, dang. So yeah, I just kind of working and doing my coaching and working, you know, on the side and everything for the next couple of years. Just still trying to figure out, you know, okay, you know, how am I going to get into tech? Because I don't know. And then that's when I think once I had moved back to Michigan, that's when I had ran across your post. I think that's when you were first making that transition with your content to start to talk about tech sales and tech in general.
You were probably one of the only few people that didn't think I was capping at first, and I was saying how much money people can make.
Oh no,
you were probably like,
I was with it as soon as you started posting it. I'm like, I need him to make more content to tell me more about this, because I'm like, I need to know what he, because I'm like, I'm trying to get in that space too, but I don't know what the heck I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so when you make your content, I wasn't one of those people that was like, I only want to hear about relationships. Here he comes with, what is this? I was with it. I was like, okay, I'm about to stick around. I'm about to see what he's talking about, because shoot, I'm trying to get that tech bag too. So
you've been trying to get the tech bag before I even was thinking about the tech industry.
Yeah, so I'm like, cool. So when you started posting it, I'm like, all right, cool. And it took me some time to make the decision though, because I just wanted to make sure it was the right way to go. But I say probably about 6 months after you started posting it is when I finally went on ahead and was like, let me go ahead and just, you know, go ahead and drop the money to go to this Course Careers. Worst case scenario, it doesn't work out, whatever. I've lost more money at start.
Yeah. Yeah, we all have.
Yeah, so it's like whatever. So yeah, I went on ahead and I took the course and went through it. finished it in like 6 weeks, and that was with me kind of moving slow with it. So I finished it in 6 weeks, and then started my job hunting, and ended up landing my first role 6 weeks after I got done with the course.
Okay, cool. So two things, and I probably should have said this to you in the DMs. So one thing I do, I mean, unless you just really want to, do your thing 21. Yeah. But unless you just really want to, I would say probably avoid your company's name, just because I don't want people hearing it. And then, of course, people could look you up on LinkedIn. Y'all could look her up on LinkedIn if y'all really want to follow her, tap in with her. But it's like sometimes a lot of people will just start flooding and applying to the company. And there's been times where I've had people on the live where people will go and like say that person referred them, and it's like, ain't nobody refer you straight up. So just for to kind of be clear on that, I just at least wanted to mention that portion. So you did the boot camp, and yeah, I remember. Yeah, SV Academy was one of the older tech sales boot camps, and pre-hired. I think pre-hired is the one that when I first was talking about tech sales specifically, I think I was recommending pre-hire to people at first, and I didn't want to, but this is before I knew about Course Careers. Right. I was telling people just about Careerists at the time, and then when pre-hire contacted me, and they were, at least at the time, I don't even know if they exist anymore, because I think they went bankrupt or something like that. Yeah. But pre-hire contacted me, and at the time, again, obviously Careerists is like 4,000. There were a lot of people that were telling me like, Cyrus, I can't afford. Do you know of any boot camps that are free? So pre-hire they were like an income shared agreement. For those of y'all don't know, there are some boot camps where it's completely free up front, but once you get a job, you have to pay them like monthly. They basically dock your pay. They take money out of your pay for anywhere from 2 to 4 years, which ends up coming around to be about like $20,000 to $40,000, depending on the company and how much you make. And so that was never something I really wanted to like tell people or put people on, because I'm like, man, that's basically like you're going to college. It's like the whole point of a boot camp is not just to expedite your time, but to help you avoid having to pay all of this money. It's like, why you want to make $70,000, $80,000, $100,000 just to have to give 20% of that or 15% of that away to somebody? Like that's, to me, I was like, nah. So I eventually, once I learned about Course Careers, I quit. And I didn't even like to mention pre-hire, but whenever there are people that are like, Cyrus, there's nothing else that you know that's free, and I'm like, okay, you can do this. If you really want to do that, you can do that. But once I found out about Course Careers, I dropped pre-hire with the quickness and just only thought about Course Careers after that. So, yeah. So you said, so you did Course Careers, and it took you 6 weeks. So it took you was that 6 weeks that it took you to complete it, or 6 weeks between the time you started it and you getting a job?
Yeah, so it would be 12 weeks total of the whole process. So it took me 6 weeks to complete the course. Then it took me 6 weeks to land my first position.
Okay. And so I guess based on your opinion, like what was your experience like with Course Careers?
My experience was pretty good. Course Careers definitely helped me understanding like what the role entails. Because, you hear tech sales, they'll really tell you anything. The title is like, okay, what does that mean? I'm thinking when I hear tech sales, I'm like, am I going to like selling like actual electronic stuff to people? Like, I didn't know.
You know what? I guess I never thought about that.
Yeah.
That probably is what most people think. Most people probably are like, am I going around selling computers? Like,
yeah, like that's what I was thinking. I'm like, tech sales, what is that, right? And so, taking the course helped me to understand the industry, helped me to understand the role, and to better be able to position myself too. So when, you're interviewing, you don't want to be interviewing for a position and you don't know what the heck they're talking about when they say, sales cadence or, code out, things like that.
Yeah, or the sales cycle.
Or,
right. Yeah, or even just a lot of the acronyms that they just throw around loosely, just that you're not gonna know.
Your ICP, you like, I don't know what it is. Is that a college or? So, Course Careers in that aspect definitely helped a lot. And just having them on your profile too. So, you know, one of the things that helped with Course Careers is, you know, as soon as I put them on my profile, I immediately had a tech company reach out to me within a few weeks of me enrolling, wanting to interview. This was for like a 6-figure position in sales. I didn't, because I sucked at interviewing at the time. I had no idea what I was doing, but I was like, I'm gonna shoot my shot anyway, and just to see.
Yeah, exactly. That's crazy. And that wasn't you reaching out to the company. That was just, you put Course Careers. Obviously, you had your LinkedIn set up. You put Course Careers. Did you have a LinkedIn before you started working at Getting Tech?
I did, but I really didn't use it. It was just kind of blank. So once I got in Course Careers, I went ahead and revamped it and updated it and everything and start putting it to use.
Okay, cool. And yes, you threw Course Careers in there. Then a company reached out offering some big money, but at the time, I'm assuming you weren't done with Course Careers at the time, and you just didn't really know how to fully. You said what?
Yeah, I was hyped because I was like, as soon as they reached out to me, at first, you know, I thought it was going to be like they, you know, wasn't going to be a lot of money or whatever. But he's like, yeah, you know, OTE about 100,000. Like, I called my mom. I was like, Ma, this tech company just reached out. I was like, I ain't even finished the course yet. But yeah, so even though I didn't get the job, it opened my eyes to the possibility.
Yes.
Like, this is a real thing.
Yeah.
Like, this ain't play. Like, you can really get in here and you can make some significant income.
Yes.
You know, and increase your income significantly. So, you know, even if I didn't get the job, I was still just grateful to even interview for the position because it opened up my mind to the possibility.
Yeah, I'm sure that definitely, because obviously you put the money down. You've been wanting to get in tech for a long time, so it's not like you needed something to inspire you. Nevertheless, I could see how that could be something that could have you be like, "Yo, it's really money out here, and it's available. As long as I position myself properly, I could really like get to this bag."
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to interview with a company like that so soon, you know. So that was the thing for me, like, oh, like this is one of these big time Silicon Valley companies reaching out to me, and I don't have any experience at all. So it was kind of like God showing me like it can happen. Like, don't sleep on it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I saw a question in the comment, or a question in the comment section is right here. Usually I want to wait until the end, but I feel like there's a question we can address right now.
Yeah.
They're saying, he said, could you still have taken the job even without finishing the boot camp?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's up to the company if they want to hire you or not. So it's like, don't know. Let them tell you no. If they feel like you know they want you to finish the course first, then it is what it is. But if they offer you the position and you ain't finished the course, you don't need the course at that point. You got a job now.
There's the dude who came on my live last week. He said I think he's the only person that just didn't finish the course, because he said he was doing interviews. So one of the things I talk to people a lot about, and I'm sure you do the same whenever you're talking to people, is like, yo, when you're in the midst of the boot camp, at least halfway through, feel free to start applying and interviewing with companies and stuff. Because sometimes, a company will hire you. They'll say, hey, we're going to hire you, but we're going to wait until you finish the boot camp. Or some will say, yo, we'll hire you, but we still expect you to finish it. Or some will just be like, we like you. We're going to hire you, whether you finish the boot camp or not. So the dude last week, he said literally the last thing he had to do was to take his test, but he got hired beforehand, so he just didn't take the test. And it's like, yo, at that point,
you got the job, so
you in the industry, so
yeah, but you definitely can. I do encourage people to go ahead and start applying if you can, if you have the capacity to do so. I personally didn't have the capacity because I just had too much going on at that time. So I was like, I'm gonna just finish the course first, then I'm gonna do my interviewing. But if you have the capacity to start interviewing first, that's even better because you get that momentum going. So once you're finished, you already have some stuff lined up.
So you said you had a lot going on at the time. I think this is good to mention, because some people will ask, like, okay, is it possible to do the boot camp if I'm doing X, Y, and Z. So I know aside from you being a life coach, what else like did you have going on?
Yeah.
While you were doing
So I was just moving. So I didn't even have a place to stay at the time. I was living in Airbnb. So so I went to Michigan. Things didn't work out in Michigan. I had to drive all the way cross country back to Texas, and no job, no where to stay. Had an Airbnb. Had got a job just in time for me to move back here. And so like I was like, hey, listen, I'm gonna go ahead and take this class. Worst case scenario doesn't work out. I don't think my situation can get much worse than what it is right now.
Yeah.
So I might as well go all in and go ahead and see what happens. So that's what I did. I was trying to look for a place to stay while taking the course, and working full time, and creating content and life coaching. So I had a whole lot going on. It probably wasn't the best for me. I probably should have laid off of some of the stuff, but it is what it is.
That's funny.
Hey, so for everyone who's watching this right now, you're interested in the career that myself or my guests have been talking about, then I suggest you check out Careerist Bootcamp. Not only is this the bootcamp that I've done, but this is the bootcamp that many friends of mine has done as well. They offer a variety of tech courses, things like sales engineering, manual QA, QA automation, and others. These are virtual, most are 4-week courses that you can do from home, and they get you jobs that are paying on average about $125,000 a year. Now, we've partnered with Careers to where they are offering an exclusive discount to our community and our audience of $300 off of whatever their pricing is. That even includes, even if they have a sale going on, you can get $300 off on top of that sale. So make sure that you're using the link that we have in our description, because that is a way that you're able to take advantage of that discount. And aside from that, let us know which course you chose.
No, I think about that a lot too. Like I look back at all the things that I had going on in my life, and I'm like, yeah, I definitely could have cut a couple of those things out to focus. But either way, it worked out for both of us. So God is good. So made it work either way. So you finished the so you finished the boot camp. 6 weeks later, you got a job as a SDR. And why did, like, I guess, what was your reasoning like for accepting the role? Like, I guess really a better question to ask is kind of talking about like some of the differences, like what's been different for you with being in the industry so far versus whether it's military or trucking or any other jobs you've had before?
Yeah. So, definitely being in this industry, you never stop learning. So one of the things, like with my other jobs, you didn't really have a big learning curve. It was just like, okay, do this, do that, and you're done. But specifically in tech sales, especially, there's a science to it. Like you really have to show up. You really have to perform. There is no, today I'm just gonna chill. It's like, no, your check is gonna look like you've been chilling.
Yeah.
So that's one of the big difference is it's very performance based.
Yeah.
And you definitely got to be on top of it. And like I said, a lot of times people don't talk about this, but when you're coming into this new space, I know everybody's like, yeah, I want to do my 40 hours and I just want to go home. But sometimes you have to invest a little bit of time outside of work to make sure that you're pouring into, being the best at your job, so that you can get that 6-figure salary or that promotion or whatever it is that you're looking to get career wise. And so that's another thing that, a lot of people don't talk about, but it's one of the things that I noticed in my new position that's different from my old one.
Yeah. I think you touched on a couple of points that are super important, because obviously I talk a lot about the money and the opportunity and the benefits and the perks, but people realizing like, yo, you're not making 6 figures for nothing. Like you working, like you're coming to work. And so it's kind of similar. One of the things I've realized with being in this industry is like, it's very kind of similar to whether you're a doctor or a lawyer in 2 different ways. It's like, okay, why do, and not all doctors, but specifically medical doctors. Okay, why do medical doctors typically get paid so much? And it's like, well, because the work that they do is not work that just anybody can do. And the level of like output and the level of thinking that goes into it is on a higher level. Same thing with lawyers. And the other thing with both of those industries that's similar to tech is how they're both industries where you never fully know everything. If someone's a lawyer, the laws are constantly changing, and you have to stay on top of changes and trends. You have to stay on top of regulation and what's happening with the government and who's in government and what types of laws are they going to try to pass. Or you're going to have to stay, even if the laws and things stay the same, you're constantly studying because there's no way your mind can retain all of the information. And so I've realized the similar thing when it comes to working in tech, at least most tech roles, where it's like, yo, there is a certain level of constant studying just to stay on top of things. You know, even if it's just 15, 30 minutes a day apart from your job, like, it's like, you know, really, do you want to be Kobe, or do you want to just be the person that's just doing the bare minimum to be there, and your check is the bare minimum? Yeah, the check could be, bare minimum could be 70,000, but it's like, do you want to be 70,000 or you want to be getting 120,000 entry level? It's like, what do you really want to get out of it?
Definitely. Yeah, I definitely agree. You do have to, like, even like in the space of sales, like, one of the things I'm realizing is I'm getting on these calls with people, and then they mention a competitor I've never heard of before. I'm like, now I got to go research this competitor. You know, because I have no idea how to get past this, because I don't know nothing about their company.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're constantly being challenged, and you're constantly being pushed to learn more.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are some of the, because I know you saw me talking online about some of the things about being in the industry online. You saw me talking on Instagram about some of the things being in the industry. And obviously, you being someone who was interested in the industry for so long, way before I was interested in being in the industry, you were already familiar with some things. But if you could share both, like, what are some things that you didn't know that was like common in the tech industry that's different from most other industries, specifically like benefits and perks? And then even what are some things that you already knew about, but you think most other people don't know about?
Yeah. So yeah, definitely the benefits and perks of tech is uncommon. And just compared to regular jobs, like, even just the environment is like, I don't hear from my manager. My manager does not bother me. I do not bother him. We talk to each other. And if we need something, he's like, we meet up once a week just to catch up. Yeah. But I never, like, in regular job, it was just like micromanage. What are you doing? Are you going to be into work today? Are you going to, like, my manager does not bother me. Sometimes I'll be concerned, like, does he know that I'm still alive here? like hey, I'm alive, you know, because that's just how, like, he be in his own little world, like, he really do. Yeah. But, you know, that's one of the things, like, they actually treat you like a responsible adult in tech, that yeah. Like, you're going to do your job. I'm going to trust you do your job. And if you don't, that's on you. You get the cut. But, you know, so that's one big difference. And then definitely the pay and just the you know, like PTO and things like that. Like, they encourage you to take the time off. You're not, you know, you take a day off, people aren't looking at you sideways like, oh my goodness, you're so lazy. You know, people are like, oh yeah, or like, enjoy your vacation, things like that. And so definitely just the culture of tech is completely different than what I was used to. Way more lax, and a lot more freedom with schedule and vacations and things like that. One of the things that I learned that maybe a lot of people don't learn, and this is more, a lot of people don't know, this is more specific towards tech sales, is so a lot of people, you know, I'm sure you've heard about this, a lot of people saying, yeah, I got two tech jobs, because they, you know, they get a remote job and then they try to get another remote job. Yeah. And they don't lie. I don't know why they do that. It's not smart.
Yeah, wait, you're not saying anybody in tech sales tries to do that, are you?
Oh, it's possible to do it though, with your knowing. So one of the things I learned is I actually had a guy call in. He works for another fintech company, and he happens to have the same customers that we have, basically. And so he called in. He's like, hey, we have the same customers. Is there a way for me to partner with their company and basically make double commission and recommend your product to them, since they're also in alignment with what y'all are selling? And so I was like, I don't know, let me go ask my manager. Ask my manager. Turns out my manager's like, yeah, you know, we do sign people on like that. We just sign them on as contractors. They don't get like a base salary, but yeah, they can get the commission if they, you know, sign on people. So we're actually working with the company.
Wow, I did not know that was a thing.
Yeah, we're actually working with a company now where they actually partnered up with our company, and so their salespeople is not only making commission from their sales alone, but they're also making commission from recommending our product to customers.
That's so smart.
They're getting double commission. So that's one thing I learned. I'm like, oh, so if I wanted to like team up with another fintech company, I could do that, you know. So I'm like,
okay,
yeah,
so you were saying earlier, so I misheard you. You were saying earlier that it's a way in tech sales for you to technically work for two companies and the companies know and they be okay with it.
Yeah.
When it's an example like that. That is fire.
Yeah, that's like, yeah, we sign on people who if they have our ideal customer and we see that it's profitable, we just sign them on as an independent contractor. They don't get a base pay or benefits or anything, but they will get that commission, you know, if they recommend our product. So I was like,
that's
wow, I didn't
really
know.
smart to do that, especially if the companies aren't already integrated together. Because sometimes tech companies will already be kind of working together where they'll do an upsell, but it's not really. That's really smart. That's crazy. I did not know about that. That's fire.
Yeah, that was one of the things I was like, okay, I might try that. I might try that.
Yeah. Man, that's so far. And when did you actually start at your company? Like, how long have you been there so far?
So I started my company back in October of 2022. So it's been about 8 months now.
Oh, dang. You've been there for a good minute.
Yeah, and everything's going well so far. I'm kind of my role is kind of unique. So even though I'm in a BDR role, I actually do a lot of the account executive work. So I'm actually managing the full sales cycle, which is good. That's what I wanted. Because I want to eventually just get to being an account executive. But yeah, like everything is going good so far. During my time here, that's another thing. Once you get your foot in the door and you get that experience, you're gonna have companies reaching out to you. So I've already had companies like, you know, like I had one of the biggest AI companies, like that's startups right now that's on a rise, reach out to me like, hey, we're building our team in Dallas. We want to know if we can interview with you. And I've even had my companies like competitors reaching out to me like, hey, do you want to come over here?
I would love to work at an AI company. That's so cool. So did you turn them down, or are you still considering possibly?
I'm still considering. I'm definitely considering all, like, you know, if they look like a company that's, you know, doing something that's significant and that could be my career. Yeah, I'm looking into it definitely.
Yeah. No, that would be really, really fire. Really fire. So look, I see a few questions popping up in the comments. Make sure y'all are putting the questions in the down in the question section. So if it's cool with you, I definitely want to hear more about your story, but just for the sake of time, I do want to go ahead and just let us shift over and answer some of the questions that people are putting in the question box. So I saw a question earlier. I'm going to address this first one, and then we'll get to the other questions. Someone asked earlier how much she makes. So for those of y'all that are new here, I've brought people on my live for the past year and a half where people are making an entry level, making between 60,000 up to the most somebody's came on my live and entry level is making is 135,000. And so the reason why I mention that is because it doesn't necessarily matter how much she makes. I used to all the time ask like people that came on live to share how much they were making. And I really used to do that earlier on because I wanted everybody to really understand like, yo, this is like for real. But at this point, it's like people don't need to share that information anymore. It's like, look, the window of how much you can make entry level in this industry, I would recommend to not accept anything under 60 or 65. And that's like on the like really low end. But don't expect to get anything. I would say don't even expect to get anything over like 120,000 starting out.
Yeah.
But again, even though I've had people come on my live, the entry level, I've had like 4 people and they started between 125 and 135 by all 4 of those people. But that's not the norm. So just think within that window, without needing to know individually how much or specifically how much she's making. Just know that these are 6-figure careers. That's all that really matters.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say as far as the pay is concerned, for me personally, I will be in that 70,000 mark probably a year, as far as like OTE. But that's pretty good for your first year in a entry level position. But I would say, you know, definitely. So for me personally, when I was coming in I wasn't really super concerned about getting something that's super high paying, just because I have a really low cost of living. I don't have any debt. So I was just like, I just want to get my foot in the door. And I recommend people take the strategy, because I see a lot of people, they kind of prolong the process of getting the tech, trying to chase a dream company or dream, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like, I recommend, if you can, start with a starter company. It may not be the best company. It may not be the company that you want to be with long term, but it's the company you can gain experience so that you can go for the company you really want.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I agree 100%. I love that. I love it. I love it. So, questions that were popped up in the question box. Yeah. So, someone asked, they said, in your opinion, is investing in tech still worth it with all the tech layoffs? So I'll give my 2 cents on this first. So the tech layoffs, I'll answer this in a few different ways. So the majority of tech layoffs that we've seen that are happening, it literally goes back to what she just said, where she said people chasing these bigger companies. Many of the bigger companies during the pandemic, they overhired. Just naturally, they overhired because most of those companies were making way more money and getting way more business than they were used to getting. And most of those are the big tech companies, you know, the Amazons, the Apple, Netflix, Google, Microsoft, Facebook. Those companies were just getting a lot of business during the pandemic that they usually didn't have. Now that the market has kind of like corrected itself, those companies are like, okay, cool. Now they're going to do a lot of layoffs. Apart from that, there are different roles in tech that are very close to being recession proof. There's no such thing as any job being recession proof, but the jobs that are like best suited to be closest to being recession proof in tech, one of them are tech sales, the role that we're talking about that she's in, because a company can't make money if it doesn't have people. Like a tech company that has a product or software that they're selling, they can't sell the product without tech salespeople. So typically a tech salesperson makes a company 5 to 15 times as much as what it costs to pay them. And so like my first job, I was making $90,000, and even though I wasn't in tech sales, my job still correlated to sales. I looked at how much I was making my company. I was making my company legit about 10 times as much as what I was getting paid. So even though my company was paying me $90,000, I was making them about $1.1 million a year. I was on track to, had I stayed at the company. So understand that the company is not gonna be quick to let go of a tech salesperson. As long as they're just doing, even if they're doing the bare minimum, they're just really just kind of doing their job, they're making that company a lot of money. Yeah. Then you have cybersecurity, which once a tech company has enough visibility, they're going to be getting attacked. People are going to be trying to hack them, and eventually they will be hacked, especially if they do not have a cybersecurity team that's protecting them from threats. And companies will lose investments. They will lose a whole lot. The company could go down if they don't have cybersecurity people defending them constantly. Mm-hmm. And so those are like the 2 main roles I'll mention. There's other roles in tech that are incredibly valuable as well. But understand there are some roles that are pretty close to being recession proof. I was about to get into some jobs that aren't recession, that are the quickest to go whenever a company's going to let people go. But I'm not going to jump into that. But that being said, the layoffs, even though there are a lot of layoffs happening, the last piece I'll say is that there are way more companies hiring than companies that are letting people go. Again, we just know about, when I say we, people, I'm talking about people that aren't really working in tech yet. You typically only know about the big tech companies. Mm-hmm. There are well over 50,000 tech companies that are out there, and every single day there's a brand new company. and I challenge someone to do this. I promise on everything. I will pay you $200 if you could apply to 20 jobs a day. I promise you, by the end of the year, specifically in tech sales, I challenge you to apply to 20 tech sales roles a day. And I bet by the end of the summer, you would have not ran out of companies to apply to that have openings. Like, that's how many openings there are out there. You could legit apply to 20 to 30 companies a day and not run out of companies that are open. So yes, layoffs have been happening, usually mainly with big tech companies, but understand that there are way more companies out there that are hiring every single day.
Yeah. And I'll also add that, keep in mind that tech is a long-term investment. It's not a get rich quick scheme. And it's not anywhere. So even you have to understand how the economy works. You're going to have ups and downs in the economy. And said, there are big tech companies. So somebody like, Google lays off 10,000 employees. They have 200,000 employees. That's not actually even cutting, into the majority of their employees. And then they're not representing the tech industry as a whole. And so I will also keep in mind too, I mentioned this, I think, under one of your posts, that AI, everybody is scared of AI. AI is taking jobs, but nobody is talking about how AI is actually rapidly creating jobs right now. So in the next, by 2025, 97 million jobs are going to be created from AI alone. 97 million. And AI is struggling right now with a shortage because people aren't skilled up yet to take on these roles. So this is a perfect time to skill up, go ahead and get into one of these six-figure AI positions.
Yeah, no, that's a real thing. Yeah, I think AI, robotics, machine learning. There are a few different sub industries. They're technically tech, but they cross over or lap over with tech, like AI, robotics, all those different things that are hiring like crazy right now, y'all. So definitely take advantage of those industries and what those industries are doing. Y'all know AI is booming right now. So you ain't hearing no AI companies doing no layoffs. They booming like crazy right now.
Yeah, especially if you're in tech sales too, keep that in mind. Don't limit yourself. Go niche down to some of these companies. You will see a lot more job opportunities. Just search AI startups. There's going to be a ton of openings for AI startups. There's going to be a ton of openings for blockchain is up and coming. A lot of people are sleeping on blockchain, but there's a lot of startup companies in blockchain right now because of crypto and everything kind of going digital. So
crypto is making a pretty big comeback, and people don't know that.
Look into those, because these companies are creating software and they need salespeople. They need people who know how to code. They need people in cybersecurity. So, keep that well.
Yeah, that's super good. I saw someone ask earlier they wanted me to list some roles that are usually the first to go whenever tech companies are doing layoffs. So I can't give all of the exact roles, but I'll just list two really quickly. One, I'll list two that are popular. They get let go really quickly. One of them are recruiting, because when a company is not hiring, what are recruiters there for? It's like, if they're not going to be hiring, they're going to let go their recruiters. Yeah. So, and that's obvious. I don't have to explain why. That kind of just makes sense.
Yeah.
They usually don't let go of all their recruiters, but if it's a company that has more than several recruiters, some recruiters are going to get put on the chopping block. Yes, somebody put human resources. Yes, exactly. The other thing are certain software engineering roles. Now, software engineer is a pretty broad term, but most tech companies, especially, again, going back to big tech, once a company's software product is fully established, they don't need a large team of software engineers, because if they're not building new products, then they don't need that many engineers coding and building the product. So to save money, because if they don't have products being built, then their software engineers will be just kind of sitting there twiddling their thumbs. So basically, think of it this way: whatever roles that once a company is kind of established and the company doesn't necessarily need to grow or need to make anything new or need to hire new people, those are all usually the roles that get let go first. But a company is always going to need to sell the product, or nobody's going to make money. A company is always going to need to defend the product and technology, or the whole company could get shut down, or they could be held hostage. So there are certain roles that the company desperately needs. So I just want to kind of touch on that really quickly. Let's see. And I'm looking at the questions in the question box for those of y'all who are wondering. And let me know if you see a question here in the comments that you want to address.
Okay.
While I'm looking at the question box. Someone asked, who's the best tech coach in the game? I don't really know. I could list a couple of people I know. It depends on what you mean. I need you to please DM me specifically what you mean by that question, because that could mean tech coach to get a job in tech. That could mean tech coach to scale. That could mean resume. That could mean LinkedIn. That could mean networking. That could mean like a variety of different things. Yeah. So someone asked, how does someone transition in they are already in tech as a business analyst? You mean transition to tech sales? I would say look at my FAQs. So I want us to address questions that I think are unique, because I get this question like 20, 30 times. For those of y'all that don't know, I do have FAQs in my bio where I answer roughly probably 90% of the questions y'all are thinking about. You can click the link in my bio, go look at the FAQs, and you'll see that all these questions have been answered there in other short videos. So I want to try to prioritize questions that are pretty unique.
Yeah. And for the person I asked for a good tech coach, if you're just looking to get in and learn more about the industry and really learn how to scale, you can, my career mentor, I think he was on here. I don't know. Have you linked up with Antoine yet? Antoine from Black Heights. You guys need to collab, because Antoine is,
yet.
So Antoine is also in tech sales, but he's like a millionaire in tech sales, and he's my career mentor. And you guys, I was like, he was on the Anthony O'Neill show. I was like,
dope.
You guys have some content together.
Yeah, I'll definitely tap in with him and see if he wants to come on a podcast. I think that'd be pretty dope.
Wow.
Super cool. When it comes to networking and cold calling / emailing recruiters, hiring managers, or even regular connections, how much time do you give them before checking up on them for an update?
For me personally, I don't do a whole lot of following up with, I'll be honest with you, because I just haven't had that issue with recruiters. Like, if a company doesn't get back to me, I'm like, whatever, like, because there's just too many opportunities for me to be stuck on just
the
this
same
one
person didn't respond. Yeah.
Me personally, I don't do a whole lot of following up, but if you're like in a desperate situation and you're like, I really need this, or I really want this company, then maybe I would say, the next week or so, if you don't hear from them, send a quick follow-up email. But yeah, I would probably not take my advice on that, because I just don't have experience in it.
Y'all understand that whenever you're at your company, so first off, the boot camp, for those that do the boot camp gives you a lot of good training and experience when it comes to what it'll be like. But even apart from the boot camp, 9 times out of 10, as long as you're at a decent tech company, the company is going to train you pretty well on what to expect and on like the volume of outreach you should be doing, the different types of ways you can reach out to prospects, if you should, spin the block and hit them up again. So don't think of it like, don't really see these lives or these conversations as coaching to know what the job is going to be like so you could do the job well. That's why we kind of talk on these things on a pretty high level, because the purpose of this is really just to talk about the industry and talk about the testimony of, hey, how we got in the industry and what that's like and what's different and what we're planning on doing next and all those different things. Because there's no way in a 1 hour live we could tell you even 1% of everything of what to expect, like within like your job and the details of it. I mean, she's still fully learning. I'm still fully learning. Like you're constantly learning in this industry. So this is more so just to kind of share stories and testimonies. Again, that's not to dismiss the question that was asked, but just more so to kind of explain, again, to set expectations for what you can look forward to. So we'll do one more question and then I will have to go. This is a good question. So someone asked, they said, does Course Careers help you find a job at the end of the boot camp?
Yeah, so Course Careers has gotten a lot better than when I had, first went, because they've added more things. So they do, have, when I was there, they had where you could, they were partnering up with companies where companies would just, list their jobs exclusively to Careers. And, they had towards the end of the course, all of the interview prep, how to set up your LinkedIn, email templates, and, all that good stuff. And then now they have it where they list the students on it's almost like it's almost like LinkedIn, but backwards. So
for companies to reach out to the students.
Yeah, companies to reach out to the students now. So, they definitely have stepped their game up in helping, students to land roles. But I would say even with that, of course, there's tons of students that's enrolling all the time. And so still, make sure you're not like fully dependent on that to try to land a role. Definitely your own job hunting.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like you have to treat it as if like it's all on you. Even though the boot camp gives you a lot, you have to have the mentality that this boot camp isn't going to give me a job, that this boot camp just sets me up to be able to better compete in the market with getting a job in this industry. Yeah. And so the same way college doesn't get you a job, boot camp isn't going to get you a job, but the boot camp does more for you than college does, because typically college just gives you information without showing you how to actually get into the industry. Right. So super cool. So look, I've enjoyed you being on here so much. I was trying to wait for like a good time to have you come on the live and things like that. I knew that this would be really good. I'm super happy with you being in the industry. Did not know you had been already been knowing about the industry for a while. That's really dope. A few people are asking if this live is going to stay up. Yes, this live will stay up, so you can rewatch it. Thank you so much for coming on here. I guess before we jump off, is there anything else you wanted to say or share with everybody?
Yeah, I guess my last thing is just, if it's something you want to do, you want to get back, don't let fear hold you back. I see so many people, they miss out on opportunities because they're afraid. And I get it, it's okay to have, your concerns and everything and want to do your research before making an investment. But, don't let fear hold you back and you end up missing out on, or delaying the opportunity for you to get into tech. But yeah, I mean, you guys also, my inbox is open. I'm not a tech coach, but I do try to, help people when I can if they do have questions about the tech industry.
That's super fun. And you are still taking bookings for your life coaching sessions, right?
Yeah, I kind of shut it down just because I've been so consumed with trying to, do what I'm doing in tech. And I've been leaning more towards just doing content creation because I just feel like I can have a better impact that way. But eventually open up, to coaching people again.
I love that. I think that's super dope. Super dope.
Yeah.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you for going live with me so we can talk to people about this. Look, y'all, hope y'all have a beautiful night, a blessed night, and see y'all later.
All right.